All right, awesome. So here we go. So everyone can see.
Yep, got you.
All right, fantastic. All right, great. So right now I don't have anything like in my cluster running or anything like that. So everything is pretty much okay, good all. And yeah, just the standard Kubernetes clusters, no pods, or anything. Right. So we're gonna go. Excuse me. Going to go ahead and create. It says three different pods with the names front end, back end, and database. And they all use the same image named Nginx. So let's go ahead and like create those three. So it's gonna be a K run for a pod, and we're gonna name this front end and image equals database. I mean, sorry. Image is Nginx.
Okay. Actually, I need the link to where you're at right now.
The link? Oh yeah, I got you. Don't worry. Let me send this right over. And
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to scroll up further in the group chat.
oh
Okay.
yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I should have sent that to you all. Um,
Thank
so
you.
I'm already skipping to like number two because I already see that it's asking for specific labels. So instead of me doing it in declaratively, let's just do it imperatively through the command line. So you can do dash labels or dash L. Um, I'll do dash L, and then it wants us to have these two, so env prod and team shiny. So let me just copy this, and I think that's all I need. I think I need to move the space just to make sure it's right. That's just a command that we can output YAML. All right, so yes, it created the labels here for us. So I'm happy with that. So we can go ahead and just create the instance here, or the pod. Just need to do the same thing for the backend and database. So for the backend, it says it also has an environment prod, but it says team legacy. Then it says app is equal to v1 dash v1 at 2.4. And just change this to backend. And then the last one is going to be team storage. So just do that storage and name this one. All right, cool. So if we do k get pods, we should be able to see all the pods that we just created, and we can do dash dash show labels. And that will show us the labels that we've just added on there. So that looks good to me. Um, okay. So the next portion mentioned it wants us to declare annotations for those pods as follows. So with this, I don't think we can do that declaratively. So we just do a k edit pod. And then we can just edit the pods one by one. So we can start from the back end, I guess. Well, let's do front end. So here, once we create it, should go add annotations, um, metadata. Annotations are like aligned with like this, but best thing to do is use Kubernetes documentation. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how it looks. So does the annotations look like? So yeah, it's aligned with metadata with the creation timestamp and name and all that good stuff. So, and two, and we can add annotations as need be. So this one asks for annotations for the front end. It says it needs to be contact undo. So matter, but we'll see. I'll just put in quotations just in case. Not do that. In the meantime, does anyone have any questions? Definitely feel free to chime in if you have any questions or comments or anything. So I definitely want this to be a team lead thing. All right, so we have commit as well. So I think that's fine. See if it's not, it'll tell us. Okay, so I could accepted that. So we just got to do the same thing for the backend. So let me just edit pod backend and do the same thing. Oh, and we can do contact. That is contact. Harry Harris. All right. So that looks fine here. And those have been edited. So if we do edit again just to see it's there, so it looks good. So let me clean up my CLI. And you can do that with Control L to clean up your thing there without doing clear. So now the next thing it says render the list of all pods and their labels. And I kind of showed that already here with the K get pods dash dash show labels. It's going to get all the pods and then it's going to show us the labels right here. And as you see, all the labels that we mentioned before are there, which looks absolutely perfect. And now it actually is asking us to use label selectors on the command line to query for all production pods that belong to the teams, Shiny and Legacy. So let's take a look how we can do that. So we can do K get pods. Guess we have to do the dash dash show labels, right? Or dash L. And I believe there's something that we can do where we do like this. So it can be like, since it's going to be team, so we can do something like team in. So any team that has, these particular values. So the key is going to be team in, and then the values we can go ahead and search it up like this. And that's going to be, so it's either going to be, it says shiny. So it'll be team in shiny slash legacy. You just see that. And then let's see if it does it. Okay, good. But it also mentions that oh yeah, this works. So this is a selector. So what it did was, again, it uses the, have to put it in quotation, so team in, so it's going to say either or, so it can be either shiny or either legacy. And as you see, it didn't show backend because backend does not have um anything team or shiny. So like, for example, if I wanted to change it from legacy to well, what is it? Storage. All right, let's do storage. It will show the database and the front end instead now. So that's a nice way that you can, do like label selectors as well and select specific pods with those names. Now it says remove the label env from the backend pod and rerun the selection. So to remove labels is very similar to removing things like taints, for example. So to do that, we can just do, I believe K kubectl label. And what is the label? So it's going to be label pod, and this pod is going to be backend. And then we can do, what is the name of the label? env tv equals oh, pod. And then I think it's just a minus sign. Yeah. Oh, pod. pod and should be, let me do on that page. If it was, you should just be able to do like a minus sign. Um, label, what is it? Label pod. See, like status equals unhealthy. So if I was to do that, K label pods. Oh yeah, it says it right here, full bar here. So it's removing the label.
I think it was that bad.
Oh, okay, wait, K label pods full. Removing the label named bar. Okay, so I guess it's just it doesn't need the pod, it just needs the name of this. So it's actually asking for the key instead of the key and the value. So okay, that's good to know. So I didn't know that. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. So good call out there. So now we run the same command. Where it says here, but it should still run the same thing. Oh, show labels. Now that label is no longer there, and I believe it was database. I'm sorry, backend. Now it's only app and team, so it doesn't have the environmental variable anymore. So that's pretty much the solution for that one. And this says render the surrounding 3 lines of YAML of all pods that have the annotations. So do that, we just got to do a k get pods, and then we can pipe this to a grep command. So grep, I like to do the minus I, and then um, minus C, capital C is going to be pretty much going to C and then a number. So this is going to be the number of lines that we want the grep command to pull and display. And it's going to be 3 lines above. So it says 3, right? So we're going to do 3 and oops, grep. Oh, of course, I didn't put it to grep what? Um, so we want it to actually grep what like what's the selector. So this is going to be to have annotations. So let's go ahead and just look for the word annotations. If I spelled that right. Oh, but we have to do the output as the YAML. So it's doing the full kget pods, describe pods. So we can like get everything. Sorry. Describe pods. kubectl describe pods rep. Oh, it's capital, but it should have took it. Did I just spell it wrong?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. That's all me. Sorry.
No,
So
no,
yeah. So yeah, so now we can actually see it. So from annotations here, it goes 1, 2, 3, and then it goes from 1, 2, 3 down. So 1, 2, 3. So it just pretty much gives you the 3 above and 3 below. That's what the minus C command is for the grep. But now we are able to go ahead and get the 3 lines of YAML of all those pods to have annotations. So um that's that. And so yeah, any questions on the first part? 'Cause it was pretty straightforward.
No questions, but pretty good.
All right, awesome, awesome, cool, cool. Again, if you have any questions, feel free. I guess I want someone else to go ahead and drive this one. So, anyone wants to go ahead and take a stab or take a want to drive the wheel for us today?
I would love to, but I'm multitasking
You
right
are?
now.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. No worries. I'll go ahead and as far as do this one as well. So this one is rolling updates for deployment. So, um, it says create a deployment name deploy with 3 replicas, and the pod should use the Nginx image and the name Nginx. The deployment uses the label tier equals backend, and the pod should use the label app equals v1. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and just create a deployment. So okay, create deployment, and it's gonna be um, name doesn't really give us okay name deploy. Um, yeah, create deploy. Right. And it wants three replicas, so dash dash replicas equal to three. And also the deployment uses a label tier. So here equals back end. And the pod should use the labels app equals v1. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and just do a output as dry run. Post client, and then the output is YAML. And we'll just put this in a file here called, I'll just name it deploy. I'll just create dash dash. Let's add, like that. Or you can go without an image. Oh, day guys, sorry. Dash dash image is equal to Nginx. So sorry. So let's go ahead and do that here. So there we go. So we can do a VI deploy. And let's go ahead and start doing this here. So labels. It says it wants the label tier. So for this, he wants, okay, actually use app selector. Um, the deployment uses the label. Um, okay, so here label should be backend tier. Labels is going to be tier. The name of the deployment is deploy. And then now we can go down to the container, and it says the container, the pod should be labeled. And what does it say? The pods used in the name Nginx. So they have the name Nginx, and it's using the Nginx image. So from here, I think we're good as far as all the requirements. So we can do a K create minus F deploy. Now git deploy, and we have those three deployments. Those three replicas there, three pods. Okay, cool. So that's done. So now it says list of deployment. Oh yeah, so we did that. And then now it needs to update the image to Nginx latest and verify that the change has been rolled out to all replicas. Okay. So the first step we need to do is to update this. We can do a K set. So whenever you need to change an image, it's a set kubectl set image, and then it's going to be the type of the resource. So it's going to be a deployment. So we do deployment dpl deployment, and then the deployment name is going to be deploy, right? So now we need to do the name of the container that we need to go ahead and update the image to. So the name of the pod is Nginx. So we need to do Nginx equals and then the name of the new image. And I believe it's the container name here. So and then set image, and then I always like to do this dash dash record just so you have like a record of it. So I believe that's it. So yeah, it says the record option has been deprecated and it's going to be removed in the future. But more importantly, it says the deployment image has updated. So let's go ahead and actually validate that. So we can do a k describe deployment, deploy, and then the name of the deployment deploy. But I'm going to grep this. Grep is my favorite command, by the way. You might have noticed. So grep minus I, and then I can do image, and then it should tell us, okay, now the image is now showing up as Nginx latest. So, and for those who just feel more comfortable seeing the full command here, you can go up to containers, Nginx, and then the image is now showing Nginx latest. So that's that first part. Um, and then it says we verified it already, and that's on all replicas, obviously, with the deployment. And then it's going to say scale the deployment to 5 replicas. So this is a very simple command. So you do k scale, and then the name of the deployment, wait, and then the name of the amount of the replicas. So replicas equals to, it says 5. So it wants us to go ahead and do 5 scale. So if we do k get the get pods, let's just see. Now it's showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it shows here we had 3 before, and 44 seconds ago it's increased. So those are the newer pods that we just added, which is looking good. So it says have a look at the deployment rollout history. So to do that, we need to do a kubectl rollout history. Then the name of the deployment is deployment, and then deploy. So first change was when we initially created the deployment itself. And as you see, we hadn't set the image. So this is just a different type of image. And once I do the dash record true, it just shows the actual change history. So you can see it there. Um, so that looks good. So, and then it says revert the deployment to revision 1. So to do that, we need to do a kubectl undo. So you have to do an undo command, and then I believe it's the deployment. Um, I don't do this one too often, so let me see. Deploy, undo deployment. Um, what is it? See if that's what it does. Oh, kill, undo deployment. Um, Deployment name, and then okay, does it roll out? Deployment. Alright. Yeah, so it was kubectl rollout. So rollout, and then we have to do the undo, which just goes back to the previous state that I was in. And so now we should have like 5 new pods. I guess, yeah. So you see that it's changed it to the previous, and then if we look, it's probably going to show Nginx as the image. So if I go back to the previous command to describe the deployment, we should be able to see now it's changed back to Nginx. So that's the way that you can change the images of your pods. And another important thing to notice is there are different type of rollouts and deployment strategies. So the rolling update is the one that we've done. So it pretty much just goes like one by one and changes them. So you have a maximum unavailable. So out of the 5, it's 25% of that can only be unavailable, and then 25 is the most. So we can only have so it's just a percentage. So if it was like out of 4, you can only have 5 pods running at once, and if it was out of 4, only 1 can be unavailable at a given time. As far as the rollout history, the actual rolling update strategy. So that was that. That was a really good one. Performing rolling updates. So the next one, and then I guess before we move on, did anyone have any questions on that one?
I'm not gonna lie, I am so far behind. Yeah, I had a side question installing them because it wouldn't let me edit the deployment. So, and then in the first one, I only got to
Oh, okay. Which
like
one?
the annotations. So, I
Okay.
would volunteer to drive if, but we're gonna go a lot slower.
No, look, this is what it's about. So, it's okay because as you see, I've made mistakes throughout this entire thing. So, it's okay. I'm not providing come here with a pre-recorded script. We're just going raw and live. So this is what it's about. So I tell you, I challenge you. I know you were doing number one. So, how about let's do this one together. Let's do the creating a schedule container because
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think I'm too I haven't practiced this one too much. I'm a little familiar with cron jobs and stuff, but hey, it may be something that we can master together. So how's that sound?
Sounds good. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a con job. It's been a while in general because my current position is more like a Kubernetes admin level, and this is
Mm,
like the developer side. It's, it's been like a year or so. So
don't worry.
but yeah,
Don't worry. We're gonna use the documentation. Remember, documentation is our friend. So whenever we take these exams, we're not by ourselves. We are just the ones that are putting in the commands and stuff. So just be sure that you always have your friend here, Kubernetes, and the dash dash h, the dash help, or dash.
yeah.
So the first part is create a cron job named current date that runs every minute and executes the shell command echo current date. So what I would say, let us first do because I don't think there's an imperative command. I think there was before, but it's been, I think it's been removed or deprecated. So yeah, they don't have it anymore. So the best thing would be to probably just go on the Kubernetes website and do the like finding a cron job. So cron job.
I did
Oh,
not know cron job was a Kubernetes object as well. And I
yeah.
just, yeah,
Yeah, there you go. So look, look, this is where we have. So I know this is the most painful thing about cron jobs is remembering minute, hour, day of the month, the month, and then day of the week. I always remember day of the week is the last thing, and then minute is the first thing, but everything in between I forget. So so yeah, we're gonna use this to help us at least to get started, right? So um I'm gonna go ahead and just copy all of this here, and we can just like make the modification. So we'll name this we'll make a new file called cron. Just name it CJ. And all right, and I'm going to paste that. All right, so now that we have that, I'm not going to say anything else until we need some help. So yeah, so what should we do next? What's the next thing that we should do here? What's the first thing you want to modify?
Uh, I would say the metadata name to the current date, current dash date.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. You got it. I can copy. All right, so current date, perfect. All right, so now it says that runs every minute. So yeah, so if you were to create a cron job and this needs to schedule every minute, um, what should it be? So remember, we're looking at this here. So if we do a minute, if we just press one, I think it's just gonna be like the first. Well, yeah, every minute. Um, but a good way to remember this one is at least for the minutes. It's always good to do I think it says every 2 minutes though, right? Sorry, my dog is saying he's pulling his bowl. Sorry about that. Okay. I'll get you some food in a second. Um so the schedule. So yeah, so sorry about that. I got sidetracked. So the schedule here, so it says every minute. So we need to do a cron job that does it every minute. So um I
It'll
believe
yeah,
it'll be.
yeah, that
And then what?
last one.
One. Okay. All right. So that means that this is going to run every minute, every day, every day of the month, every day of the week, and every month or wherever. Every day of the week, every month, every day of the month, and every week. Right. So that looks good here. And then now it
The
says,
con
say it again.
I was like, shout out to Cron tab.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pain in the butt. Um, so we got the actual cron schedule. So now it says it needs to run the command though. Exit. I'm sorry. It says to run the command echo current date. Um, okay, so let's do that. So it needs to run here. So we know the commands are down here. Did it say it needs to have a name of the pod? I mean the image? No, doesn't say it needs a name of the image. Looks fine. Um, so yeah, so how should we do the command? You want me to remove any of this here or just remove this stuff here?
I
Remember, I'm just
would, yeah, I would get rid of hello from Kubernetes cluster and replace it with current, the current date, whatever is in the quote.
in the quotes. Okay, so let's do that here.
Oh, but you have to add the quote too.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I don't know.
On it. So should I delete? I should delete this, right?
uh,
Because this command,
no.
it
Yeah, I
just says
don't know.
echo. It says echo current date. So I don't think that this date. Remember, I just copied this from here. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah,
looking
this
at it.
command. So okay, let's do that. Let's delete this. But I think this is right. So shell minus e is a command. That looks fine to me. Well, let's see. You're comfortable with moving on? I know someone said maybe might have said something in here. Remove date. There you go. That's right. And yeah,
Okay.
the only thing about that DeLorean is that we won't be able to use that website, once with the exam. Um
Fair.
so that's the only like bummer. But that's why I said documentation, it's in there. So that's a nice help there. So yeah, so let's go ahead and do that here. And now let's do a K. Now what should I do to create this with the file?
Um. Oh, I think you say apply file.
Okay. Okay, apply.
Oh, dash S.
Mm-hmm.
Then the file.
Okay. Oh, so we got an issue here. Says the command type of type string. So let's see. Um, so I think
Oh, the quote that again.
yeah. Um, so you want us to remove the quotes or put a quote on everything? Which one?
Um. Actually, can you go right to the error? What does it say?
What was that? I couldn't catch that.
The error. What did it say again? If
Um,
you correct it.
it
Okay.
says version one command of type string. Says so cannot unmarshal object. So it's more than likely two things.
The quote.
Yeah, it's definitely the quotes, but I think we need the quotes still. So I think it needs to be like this. So search. So quote here, and then I think quote at the end might fix this. But it has to be single quotes. So it like wraps everything around. Um, so let's see. It may or may not. I don't even know if this is gonna work. Okay, it does. Okay.
Oh,
So yeah. So I've noticed that when it says it cannot unmarshal it, it's something related to the wrapping. So it needed to
gotcha.
wrap the whole thing. So that's beautiful. Now it says watch the job. So to watch the actual jobs that you create, so it's a K get jobs command. So yeah, batch, K get jobs batch, and it's named current date, along with the command there. So it says 0 out of 1 completions because a minute hasn't occurred yet. So let me do an actual dash W to watch it, and as we see here, it actually completed it one time. So so that's good. So Now it says identify one of the pods that ran the cron job and render the logs. So let me do it. See, and do we know how to grab logs from
Oh,
uh
okay, log, um, the pod name. Well, I guess it'll be. I think it'll just be current date, right?
this current date? I'm gonna try. But that one's
Um,
not, so it probably needs
oh,
to.
so I guess it'll be the whole pod name.
Yeah. So remember, so now this is the pot name. Let's see what happens. Okay, gives us the current date.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect. And if we do K get pods, it should show up there now as completed jobs. So it runs the command, shuts down, runs the command, shuts down. So it's gonna do that every time the cron job, executes the command here, the date command. So that's good. So it says determine the number of successful execution jobs of the cron job will keep in its history. Um,
Mm,
that's a good
I
question.
guess
I really don't even know what they really how to
I
find that.
think it defaults to 5. I guess you have to do a describe on the console.
Yeah, I think
But
so too.
these fields specify how many completed or failed jobs should be kept by default. They're set to completed. Okay, so the completed one would be 3 and failed jobs 1.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Um, does it show? Wait, is it supposed to show in here?
Um,
Um, wait, because I just did a
yeah.
describe the job. Is there? Let me see. The jobs, completions, and so determine number of successful executions. It will keep in its history. This one I honestly do not know. Did you look in the because you were reading off on something? Was it? Did you find that in the QC
The
the Kubernetes?
Kubernetes. Yep. I'll send the link.
Okay, cool. I'll just search it up in here. Oh, well, you already sent it, so cool. Let's actually read that and see what it says. Um, job history limits. Uh, the dot spec. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll probably do like OEM.
yeah, so okay, describe. Job, current jobs minus output.
Oh,
YAML.
well, if you just describe, then I don't.
Oh no, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't.
you're right, you're right. So if I do get, yeah, it's the only way I can get the YAML.
I think you probably. Well, yeah, it would just be current date, right?
But this
Stop.
three,
Stop. Tag.
so it's like multiple. So I use tab for everything. Um, so wait,
I
is it?
would do get cron job, right? Get cron job current date.
Like, why it keeps going to batch current date? There we go. That's what I've been looking for. Now I'll put YAML. Okay, and then yeah, we can like find it here or just grab. So it says under spec, or was it under spec successful job history? There we go, limit 3. Perfect.
Yep.
Cool.
Boy.
Not know about all of that, so that's awesome. So that is great. So we're good with that here. Now the next thing here, I know we're I like to go slow with these as we're like just learning together. This one is going to probably take a good amount of time to do, and so I guess we can like do a finale with this, and yeah, leave some food for next week to keep people appetite up. So this is an interesting one. It's worth a good amount as well in the test. So this one we're going to be creating a deployment. name my app. It's going to create 2 replicas, and the name is going to be Nginx, and then we're going to expose the container port 80. Also, I want to say congratulations on you answering that question and going through it with with me. So thank you as well for taking the lead on that last question. I think that was on DeLorean. So thank you.
No problem. It's always secondary.
Yeah, great job, great job. All right, awesome. Okay, so yeah, so anybody else want to volunteer on this one, or we want to just work on this one together like we did before? I don't mind driving either, so it's okay.
I can I can drive, so you don't
Yeah.
have to drive the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's just run it together. So first thing, obviously, want to do a K create deployment, and then let me name my app, right? And then replicas dash dash replicas was two, and the image be equal to the next. And we need to expose port 80. So my easiest thing is just do dash dash port equals 80, right? So that's going to create the deployment, name my app. It's going to make us 2 replicas, and the image is going to be using Nginx, and we're exposing port 80. So that is going to create that. So we're going to do K git deploy, and we have our new deployment name, my app, and it has 2 of those pods. All right, awesome. So expose the pod. So who wants to do number 2?
I'm still trying to create this.
There's good. I'm gonna pick on someone. Can um Frederick, can you I don't know if you have you're okay, you're not muted anymore. You wanna take us a gander
Yeah,
at this one?
yeah. Uh, just
Awesome.
call it out.
Yeah, yeah, call it out, man.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Suppose a possible request to be made against the service from inside the cluster. All right. So, we close the container. So for this, I would do kubectl,
Hmm.
and then expose deployment, and then the name of the deployment, my app.
Okay. All right.
Uh, and I can't remember if it's one dash or two dashes, but it's target dash, dash dash target equals 80.
80. All right, you got it.
Target port equals 80. And then
Okay.
that should expose or create a service that exposes the pods behind the service on port 80.
All right, awesome. Let me go ahead and create it, and let's take a look. Let's see what we got. So let's do a K get SVC so you can get the service. And what it shows here is it created a service named my app, and it's using cluster IP, and we have our IP address, and it's using port 80 TCP. So that looks good. And I love to do this K get endpoint, and that usually shows us, okay, these are the 2 pods that are connected to the my app, which are in that deployment that we mentioned here. So these more than likely are the IP address. So if I do K get pods now, those should match up. A lot of pods going on, but down here, as you see, let me do K get pods minus hide and then prep, just so we can see those 2. And then here, so we got 10.244.3.48 here, and then 2.41. Perfect. So it created those pods, and those endpoints are matched with that deployment. I mean, with that service. So now the next step is create a temporary pod using the image busybox and run wget command. And great job, Frederick. That was perfect. And in fact, if you want to do less typing, you can do a dash dash port, and if you don't specify the target port, it automatically is going to match the port that you put in. So if you put dash dash port 80, it's going to be port 80 for the target port as well, just so you are aware as well.
Okay.
But great work, man. Great work. So let's go ahead and create a temporary pod using the image busybox and run the wget command against the IP service. So um, anyone want to do that, or do you guys would like me to just take care of this one?
Gotcha. I'll keep running.
All right, let's
Uh,
do it, man. This is your time, man. Come on,
so
let's
like
do it.
K run
Mhm.
busybox dash dash image equals busybox. And then I, I know last time we went over this. If we don't specify something with busybox, it's just gonna shut off, right?
Yep,
Like,
yeah, I'm glad you remembered. Yep.
but
So
I don't remember what we did though.
oh, it's fine. That's fine. So it's two commands that we got to do. We have to do the dash it, which is going to be the interactive mode, and the tty, um, and that's pretty much going to let us run it detached. And we want to also do the dash rm, which is, oh, I'm sorry, dash rm, and that's going to allow it to delete the pod once it runs its command and it's done. But the most important thing that we want to make sure that we do when we do the busy box one here, at least for this use case, is when do the restart. So dash restart
Okay.
is equal to never. So that means that it's not just going to hang, it's going to run the command, boom, and it's going to give us back our terminal. So it's because it's going to go in endless loop, endless loop, endless loop, because the nature of a pod is to restart itself. It's that's what it's intended to do by default.
Okay.
Um, but
Do
yeah,
we?
so yeah,
I was
what you
gonna
got?
say, do we want to run the command right here, or just create the pod and exec into it and run the command?
Both work. In a matter of, I guess, time when we're on exam, it's probably better to do it in the command.
Oh,
And I just think sometimes it's just easier, just to do it and then like see the results, unless you have to do like multiple steps and multiple commands. But in this use case, let's just do it in the command just so we can get familiar with doing everything within the command line.
okay, cool, cool.
Hmm.
Usually right here, like I know to exec I would dash dash space like bash or shell. So
Hmm.
wget. I'm not too familiar with it, but I know just like
Okay.
dash dash space wget, and
Yep.
then one of the should be like the endpoint address that you pulled up earlier.
Yep.
Uh,
So I'm gonna, matter of fact, what I'll do is let me do that here, and then we can do a k get service again, right? So you can have that, and then I'll
Gotcha.
go ahead and
Wget, and we'll do 1096.0.1.
okay. All right. So I'm gonna do just to help us out. It's gonna be wget minus o flag space wget dash o dash, and then we have to put in the IP. So
Okay.
so what should we put in here? What was the IP address you said?
Oh, 1096.92.162, and then the port
Mm-hmm.
80.
Port 80. All right, let's do it. All right, and let's give it a run. Look at that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what it did was it ran BusyBox. It did the RM, the ITRM, so we're connecting to it, and then it did that restart never. So if anything, it would have kept going, kept going, kept going, but it would have failed because it's already a image named BusyBox. So it would have been like an endless loop. So yeah, so we did the wget, and we were able to go and connect through it to port 80, and it says welcome to Nginx. So that's how, look, that's the default Nginx message there. And now look, it says pod busybox deleted. So this is what this command is for. It just makes everything easier. After a command is done, it deletes everything, makes it
Okay.
nice. So that's great. So yeah, so that was excellent, 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 my guy. So the next part is change the service type so that the pods can be reached from outside of the cluster. So this is just challenging you to really understand the different types of services. And
Okay.
there's three different services. There's a cluster IP, which is allowing, within a cluster, all the nodes in the cluster are able to go ahead and communicate, together. And there's a node IP. Is it node IP? I'm making a blank. No, it's node port. Sorry, node port. And node port is pretty much allowing you to connect from outside of the actual like cluster, to from outside. So say we wanted to connect to that port 80, we would need to use something called ephemeral ports, and the node port creates ports between, I think it's 30,000 to up into 32,676. Don't ask me why I know that, but it has to be within that range that it's going to select. So for us to do that,
I'm gonna
how
add two.
can
I'm gonna add two more. You got the ingress and then the load balancer type too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah. So, well, there's, I think the load balancer is the other one. I think there's three. So the ingress is a whole different, I think, object.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they fall in that same like category. But yeah, you definitely spot on. Um, I forgot to mention those. But yeah, so let's go ahead and change the service type. So it's just like any a pod or something. We could just do k edit service and then just name the service. I think it's called my app. Yeah. So it's my app, and then we can go in there. So so what should we change inside here?
Should be uh all the way towards the bottom where it says type cluster IP.
Yep.
Uh, right there you could do a like node port or ingress. I only know the load balancer one because that's the one I use like in production the most in AWS. So we always
Yep.
use that.
That's,
But I
that's
do see
good.
node port a lot too.
So yeah, so in this case, what it's looking for is node port. So it has to be capital node, um, node, and then capital P and port. So node port. So I think that's literally all we have to do for this one. So it's just going to change it. But now you see how it just says port 80. And remember you had mentioned the target port,
Oh
and
yeah.
port already shows there. So it does like the inverse. So if you just put port, it's automatically going to update the target port to that. Um,
Okay.
so that's good. So let's do that. Let's save it. Now the service app is edited. So let's just do the edit again just to see the changes that it made. Oh, now look. Now it is showing us node port, and the node port is 31,307. So that's what now we will need to connect. So instead of us doing like the IP address and then 8080 or well port 80, it needs to now have the 31,307 for us to connect to it from the outside. I do think that there is an issue with this here. Because I think I tried to do this a few weeks back and it gave me a problem. But I think it's something related to like Mac or something like that. So I don't think we can do the last part. But what the command would have been was we would have had to do like a wget wget um same thing, and then the name of the IP. Well, let's do wget um wget, and then our IP it'll be 127 because it's just going to be our local our loopback address dot zero dot zero dot one, and then it would have been that port. So actually, let me do this. I need to get the new service IP. So get service, and it's 31. Uh, what we would have done was this here and added it in the back, and it should have given it. So, but I think it's going to give me an error or something. Yeah, connection refused or something. But I don't. I think it's nothing related to the command itself. Is just some type of security issues that or networking problems that we have. I think you got to do like use the weave something like that. So but yeah, so that's this question. And yeah, so that was the routing traffic. So we got one more question. Do we want to do this one and to wrap up the night, or we can stop here? How are you guys doing? Because I know we're a little bit over 9.
I
Yeah, I
could
had
go for one more, but I want to be conscious of your time because you're hour ahead of me.
Oh yeah, it's 9 for me. But I think we could probably get this one is it's not too bad. And yeah, let's just give it a shot. I'm for it, and then we can start fresh next week. So Let's see what this one says. So this is going to be restricting access to and from a pod. So this one is a pretty challenging one at first, but I'll try to break it down so everyone understands it if you all have any troubles with this one. So it says restricting access to and from a pod. Let's assume that we're working on an application stack that defines three different layers. So, typically you have three layers, front end, back end, and database, application layer, presentation layer, and, the, database layer, three-tier app, right? So each of the layers runs in a pod, and you can find the definition in the YAML file app stack. The application needs to run in the namespace app stack. So let's go ahead and copy that. And first thing it says we need to do is it says it needs to run in a namespace, name AppSec. And if we do a k get namespaces, we don't have that namespace, so we need to create that namespace. So let's go ahead and k create s and then name the namespace um, AppStack, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that should create the namespace for us. And if we do a k get namespaces again, you see that app stack is now being created. Very easy command, probably the easiest command you can do. um, so let's go ahead now and copy this YAML code, and let's go ahead and do a VI, and the app is called app dash stack YAML. So let's do that here. And then I'm just gonna paste that in here, right? So and let me just save it. But it says the application needs to run in the namespace app stack. We did that already. Copy the pod definition and create all three pods. Okay, so let's do a K8 minus F and then name up the application app stack. The pods, and now we have, well, I guess they're creating. So, oh,
How
you
do
know
you
what?
create the
I'm not in the right
namespace?
namespace. Right. So app stack, of course. So good catch there. Now it says create a network policy in the YAML file here. So I don't know how to make a YAML like this network policy like from a command. So I'm gonna depend on the Kubernetes documentation. So before we do that, let me just go and create this file here and head and let's see. Let's find what we can get from a network policy. So let me just put network policy and let's search up. We'll see what we get. So network policies here. And I always like to do this. Do kind when you're searching in this. It's a lot of stuff sometimes that you don't really
Mm.
care for. So you can do kind space and then the name of whatever you want. So in this case, it's already here, but just a quick tip. And then you can just like go next and stuff. So let's find one that we can probably build off of, right? So we know we need an ingress, right? So this is probably the best one. That we could get started with, right? So I'm just gonna copy all of this, and it may look like it's holy crap, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, but it's really not that bad. So let me make this smaller here. Um, okay, so we can back here, and let me paste trophy. All right, and let's go back to the question. So it says pretty much create a network policy in the YAML file. The network policy should allow all incoming traffic from the back end to the database, but disallow incoming traffic from the front end. Um, Incoming traffic to the database should only be allowed on TCP port 3306, which is the MySQL port. Okay, so from the back end to the database. Okay, let's do this here. All right, so first thing here is we need to remove like all of this. So like, don't need any of this because we're not doing any egress, right? So um, I can do C, I guess. Probably going to be using this stuff, so I'm going to just remove that. Let's get started. So the name, okay, we can start with the name, and the name should be what? I think it made us put a name in there. Abstract network policy and namespace. I think the namespace, we need to update the namespace to be abstract. And then, so now the pod selected. So this is how it goes. So from the top down, so we need to know where we're going from and where we're going to, right? So the spec here is pod selector match labels. So we need to match the label for what? Is it going to be the back end or the database that this network policy is going to apply to? And this is what causes, at least for me, it will cause the most confusion. So are we looking to apply this for the database or the back end?
Because we're doing the ingress,
Mm-hmm.
you're going into the database.
Mm-hmm.
So you want uh let's see, from ingress from match the database in
Mm.
from the front end, I think it was. What was the back end? Okay, I go probably database.
Right. So what we want pretty much is, so this here is going to be in respective, and this is in reference to the backend or the database, or I mean from the database. So this is going to be okay. So for the database, I'm going to allow ingress
Mhm.
from the backend,
Back
right?
end.
Right. So that's the easiest way to look at it. So you just got to see, okay, where are we coming from, and then the ingress is being in reference to who is trying to who's trying to get in,
Okay.
and backend is trying to get in. So how would we match the label? So what we have to do is let's actually just save this, get out of it, and then we need to go ahead and get pods minus namespace app stack, right? And then we need to do a dash dash show labels, right? Or dash L. Oh, sorry, dash dash show labels. And wait, can get okay, what? Can get what? Can get pods. So we can do that. And let me just clear my screen and do it again. And then now it says, okay, so the database is labels is tier equals database. So we can use this one because all of them all have app equals to do. So they all will be selected as a selector for this. So that wouldn't work. So this is the one that we need. So let's go ahead and go back to the um thing here. And then instead of it being here, row equals DB, let me just delete that and paste this. So it'll be tier, and then we just got to do space database. So now it's saying, okay, so for the pod that's equal to database, this is what this network policy is going to be applied to. So let me just go and delete that because we're not doing anything with egress. So I believe this is where I messed up before. So it's going to be so from, right?
Hmm.
Um,
So you wouldn't need the IP. Well, you could use IP block, but in our case, we're kind of like matching just like we did above. So that last one, pod selector,
mhm,
row front end, or either front back end, row would be back end.
yep.
Uh,
So yeah, let's go ahead and so remove this, and we can just keep pod selected, right? And so the pod selector, I don't remember the actual thing, so let's go back and see what it was. So it was backend was tier equals backend. So we can just use that and then go back up here and then pod selector, match labels, and just do the same thing. We just update it to the right label for the backend. So space here. And then now the last thing it says something also. It says it should allow all incoming traffic from the backend database. Um, but disallow incoming traffic from the front end.
which
So
is
that
uh,
means, but incoming traffic to the database should only be allowed on TCP port 3306. So if we
I
want to allow all traffic,
I think you already took care of number four because
hmm
right now, only
right?
that is selected.
So this is the only one that's able to get access. So now we're allowing because it has to be an explicit allow. Everything else is a an implicit deny. So if it's not in there saying exclusively, yeah, you're allowed, it's going to be automatically denied. Now that we have a network policy attached to this database pod, right? So it says now the incoming traffic to the database should only be allowed on port TCP on TCP port 3306. So the only thing that we need to do now is just update this port here to 3306. And yeah, so like let's save that here, and then let's do an apply or create rather, minus F, and then app stat. Oh, stat E, F. Let's say it would have still worked. I don't have to do the namespace. Like, sorry, mentioned namespace. So
Line four
that's
back.
line 4. So let's look at line 4. And to use you can always just do um
Like set.
this here.
Oh, it's the spacing.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I don't need a namespace. I can delete. I said it like this. Um.
Yes.
Or just
Oh no, you have to remove the spacing. It
Oh,
has to align with
yeah,
name.
yeah. You're right. So it should be like this. Oh, wait. Hmm, You're right. API is not set.
oh the version, the API version for input one. API version like V1
Oh, oh yeah, you're
Oh,
right. Oh, that wasn't in the like-
and the
oh
document.
crap. I didn't copy the whole thing. Look at that. Look at that. So let me do that here, and then now finally. Okay, that's what we call. You guys are paying attention. All right. So I don't necessarily know what we need to do to test this. I'm gonna just look at the solution and see if there's a way to test it. But I think besides that, we can just at least compare what we have with our YAML file and what they have with theirs. Um, so API version, network, that looks good. Same name, namespace, pod selector, match labels, app, to do. Okay, well, it's the same. In this case, they added the same labels, but since the tier database has that label, um, it just needs to have this one would have to meet both. But I wonder if I didn't add both, would it is it okay? That's something I'd have to look up. Or it needs to equal exactly what the pod is. So now and I guess in the future, when I see that, I'm just gonna add every label that it has.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just to avoid any possible issues. But essentially, we got the same ingress from pod selector. That looks good. Backend and the port that it only is allowing is 3306. So that looks like that does it. And we're good. So the network policy looks good to me. And that pretty much is going to wrap up as far as today's episode. So I think we all did a fantastic job. Hopefully we learned something today, or at least remembered something. And yeah, so Paris, yeah, we were good to go. So that was the only thing that we need to do. So that was it. I'm gonna go ahead and definitely thank everyone who joined us here today, and also who's watching as far as the recording as well. So thank you for waiting this long and answering and troubleshooting as we did along the way. I'm sure you guys were itching like, no, he's doing this wrong. But that's the fun in finding out and troubleshooting together. So with that being said, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you all for viewing, and yeah, be tuned for the next week's session. So thank you all again. So let's go ahead and stop the